Hello students, today in your geometry class you're going to be working on the distance and midpoint formula. So at the end of this lesson, you should be able to solve problems using the distance and midpoint formulas. So a couple quick warm-up problems. This would be a really good time for you to pause your screen and try solving these problems. Hopefully you've paused your screen and you're now coming back to check the answers. Now, in problem 1, it says the measure of angle AOC, and notice as I read it, I'm going to highlight with these arcs that I'm making, angle AOC equals 7x minus 2, and angle AOB, this one right here, is given, and that's 2x plus 8, and then angle BOC, which I'm going to change to red, is 3x plus 14. So if you'll notice, the first angle given, AOC, is equal to the sum of the smaller two angles, the one in red and the one in blue. So angle AOC, let me change this to yellow so it's easier to see. Angle AOC equals angle AOB plus angle BOC. Now it said 7x minus 2 is equal to 2x plus 8 plus 3x minus 14. So that was just using simple angle addition postulate. Now we're going to simplify and get 7x minus 2 equals 5x plus 22. Subtract 5x to both sides. We get 2x minus 2 equals 22. We're going to add 2 to both sides and get 2x equals 24. And x equals 12 because we divided by 2 to both sides. So that's how we find angle x. Number 2 says angle AOB. So let me clear up our arcs already. It says angle AOB. AOB is equal to 28. Angle BOC is equal to 3x minus 2. And angle AOD, starting at AOD, is equal to 6x. Now, we need to use that angle AOD, but we need to know a little bit more information. Don't we know that if we add up angle AOD, that's equal to angle AOB plus angle BOC plus angle COD. That's COD I'm going to do in red. So if I add up the two red arcs that I just drew and the one blue one, isn't that equivalent to angle AOD? Therefore, when we do this, we will get AOD, they said, is 6x. AOB is 28 plus BOC, which is 3x minus 2. And you'll notice angle COD is congruent to angle AOB, so that's also 28. So we have 6x equals 56 plus 3x minus 2. So actually, let's make that 54. Because 28 plus 28 is 56, minus 2 is 54, plus 3x. We're going to subtract 3x to both sides. 3x equals 54. And if we divide 3 to both sides, we get 18. So that's the measure of angle x in that instance. So the next thing is the distance formula. The distance formula measures the distance between 2 points, so between point A and point B. So what we're going to do to give you an example is we're going to kind of walk you through the process a little bit rather than just giving you the formula to start with. So it says what are the coordinates for point A and point M? So A, based off of our drawing to the right, angle A is -3, -2, and M is 3, 4. In question 2, it says, what is the difference in their x-coordinates? Well, from A to M, looking at their x-coordinates, we went from we went from -3 all the way up to 3. So that gives us a distance of 6. So what we'll do is we'll take the more positive number and say 3 minus -3 to find that distance of 6. Or even just say it's 6. What's the difference in their y-coordinates? So we went from -2 to 4. That means we had a total difference of 6. So if we use that, we're going to show you by using the Pythagorean theorem really quick. So we have that line and this line. And we're saying this is 6. And this is 6. So if we're just trying to find the distance between points A and M, couldn't we just use the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared? Now a and b give us the distance in the x's and the y, so this would be 6 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared, which we don't know. We know 6 squared is 36 plus 36 equals c squared. We know 72 is equal to c squared. And we know that the square root, well, if we wanted to make c by itself or get c by itself, we'd have the square root both sides. And we'd find out that c is equal to 6 square root 2. Now, to show you the formula, this is the formula by definition. So if we wanted to follow the formula, we easily could. Let's say that the distance is equal to the square root, which we'll draw in a second. x2 is the second point that's given. So let's call m the second point. So x2 is 3 minus the x sub 1 value, or the one for a, is -3. Quantity squared plus the y value for y2 is 4 minus the value for the y on the a is -2 squared. And then we're supposed to square root both sides. So let's draw a quick square root sign. Okay, so we're left with the square root of 3 minus -3 is 6. So this comes out to 6 squared. Plus 4 minus -2 is also 6 squared. And obviously we have our square root. So we have 36 plus 36 all square rooted. So that turns out to be the same exact thing, which is 6 square root 2. So notice the answers are exactly the same. So you have a choice. You could use the traditional formula, which I gave you on the right, or you can have it relate to the Pythagorean theorem like I did on the left. Now, midpoint formula, fairly easy. It says, what is the difference in the x-coordinates? So let's start off by figuring out what the points are. So a, which we did on the last one, is -3, -2, and m is 3, 4. Now, it says, what is the difference in the x-coordinates? Well, the difference in the x-coordinates is 6. Difference in the y-coordinates is also 6. So, if we take half of that, half of each version, or half of each one, we're going to get 6 divided by 2 for the x's. and that's equal to 3. So it's going to say the midpoint for the x is halfway is 3 spaces from each one. The y value is the same idea. 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, 3 is one of the points for the x. This just measures the distance from each point. So if a is at -3, you would go 3 points away from that, and that would be 0. So it's not the cleanest way of doing it. So in this instance, I would actually recommend that you use the formula. So the formula for the midpoint actually just finds the average of the x's and then the average of the y's. So let's try that for the x's. So x equals x sub 1 is -3 plus x sub 2 is 3. Then we're going to go ahead and divide by 2 because we're finding the average. We find out that x is equal to 0. Same thing for y. Y equals, the y sub 1 is -2 plus 4 divided by 2. We find out that y is equal to 2. So what we've just found here is actually the midpoint for both sides, or for both points. So let's do a couple of quick practice problems. For the distance formula, we're going to find the distance between the x's. So the distance between the x's on 1 and 6 is 5. And the distance for the y's from 1 to 8 is 7. So we have 5 and 7. So what we can do at that point for the distance is use the Pythagorean theorem, right? So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We know we have 5 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. So that gives us 25 plus 49 equals c squared. This gives us 74 equals c squared. And then we're going to have c is equal to the square root of 74. So we'll leave it like that for now and simplify later. Now for number 2, it says find the midpoint given the 2 points. And remember, midpoint is exactly what it sounds like, the middle point of the 2. So we're going to average the x's. So x equals 1 plus 6, because those are the 2 x values, divided by 2. The x value is 7 halves, or 7 divided by 2. The y is 3 plus 10 divided by 2. We get y equals 13 halves. And that's how we'd leave our answers. Number 3 is a little bit spicier. It says, given the line segment AB with midpoint M, find the other endpoint given the midpoint. So in this instance, I'm actually going to draw a picture because I think it might be easier to see. It says that here we have a line segment, and we have these points, A, M, and B. Now I just drew the line arbitrarily, so without really looking at the points at all, just because it doesn't matter, it just helps visually. So if we have 2, 6 for point A, and M is 12, -6, we're really trying to find the other point. So if we look at the distance from our x's from A to M, the distance from 2 to 12 is actually 10. So that's actually a plus 10 difference. Well, if you think about it, then the difference between 12 to B, not C, so that distance should also be plus 10. So from 12, if we were to add 10, we would get this x value to be 22. For our y's, which we'll do in purple, to get from 6 to negative 6, 6 to negative 6, we went down by 12. So again, to get from m to b, we'd also have to go down by 12. So negative 6 minus 12 is going to be negative 18. And that's going to give us our answer. 22 and negative 18 is the other point. Now it's your turn. Try solving these 3 problems and putting these you try problems on your notes. That's all for now. I'll see you guys next time.